Welcome to Wealthy Mind, where we talk about all things finances, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the surprising.
Hello and welcome to Wealthy Mind. I am your host, Misty Rose Gold, International Success Coach. And here at Wealthy Mind, we love to help you create and maintain a wealthy mind. And today I have with me a very special guest. Hi, Jerry.
Hi, how are we doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Awesome. So I've been looking forward to this conversation with you. Um, you have a very special day job, and you also have a very special story that we're going to share with the audience. I haven't heard anything about it, so I'm going to learn about you all at the same time, which is great. But please share your full name and what is your day job?
My name is Jerry Schemmel, and I'm the radio announcer for the Colorado Rockies in Denver, Colorado.
Super cool job.
It is. It is. You're right about that. I agree.
Like, I love what I do. Yours is super cool because it's so opposite of what I do.
It's pretty fun, I'll have to admit.
Incredible. How long have you been a radio broadcaster?
This is a long time. This is my 14th year doing the Rockies, and then I did the Minnesota Timberwolves for 2 years in the NBA and the Denver Nuggets for 18. So 20 years in the NBA and 14 now in Major League Baseball. So 34 years, long time. Yeah, I'm an old
Wow.
guy. I'm an old fart.
Uh, you don't look like an old fart, but that's
Oh,
okay.
thanks. Thank you.
So you've been at it for quite some time.
Yes, I have. Yeah,
Mhm.
had a
So
very, very healthy, very blessed career for sure.
that's incredible. I've been coaching business owners for about 17 years and people for around 25 years. And people are like, wait, you're not old enough. So I always have to give away my age because I'm like, yes, I am. I'll be 45 in November.
You don't look that old either.
Right? I know. I always do that. Even if I'm speaking on stage, I'm like, I throw out somehow, I find some creative way to throw out my age so that people understand, like, I have a ton of experience backing me, and I am old enough to have that experience.
Yeah, I agree. Mm.
Well, what got you into broadcasting? Like, this is great story, and you're totally off topic for my regular guests, but that's okay. Like, my listeners will eat it up. So,
Well, I got a degree in journalism in college, and I played baseball in college. And my goal, dream was to be a major league baseball player, and realized probably about halfway through college that I wasn't good enough to play professional
mm,
baseball. So I thought maybe broadcasting a sport, either baseball or some other, would be the next best thing to playing. And
okay.
so I just got into broadcasting. I just started doing high school games on the radio on a small station in Kansas, and just sort of moved up from there. I did small high school, and then I did small college, and then I did minor league basketball for 4 years, and then got in the NBA and was in the NBA for 20, and then I got this Rockies job when I was 50 years old. So it was interesting how it started, but it was a long road. It wasn't like I jumped right in, like I was a former player and could jump right off the field to the broadcast booth. I had to really kind of earn my way, which I feel good about having done.
Mm, yeah, that's a great story of how you got into it because, I mean, if there's somebody listening that has a kid that wants to be a broadcaster or, be on radio somehow, it's like just set the intention and go after it, and the
Yeah.
doors will open when they need to.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I tell people. You have to have a passion for it. And our industry is really, really competitive. I mean, if there's one job that
Mm,
opens up, there are a million people that want that job and apply for it. So you have to be persistent. You have to have a little bit of talent, obviously, but you have to have a lot of drive and compassion too in order
mm.
to move up that ladder. So that's what I was able to do. And that's what I tell young people too.
Well, good on you. Congratulations.
Thanks. Thank you.
your persistence paid off. And,
Yeah.
uh, you know, when you get tunnel vision on something, it usually works out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Usually.
Usually, not always, but you're right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It usually does.
Hmm. Wow. Amazing. So I heard that you have a really cool story. You were a part of some airplane crash and came back from that. And, you know, I kind of want to hear the story. I've never heard it before, and I want to hear the story, but I also want to hear about your resilience and how you bounce back from that. And like,
Mhm.
I mean, there's so much that we face in the business community, or if somebody's an employee. Most of my listeners are business owners, but there's so much that we face, and like, we need inspiration during tough times. And I feel like this is one of those tough times right now that a lot of people are going through. Not everybody, but a lot of people. So, would you mind sharing the airplane story with me and
Sure.
us?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I'll try to keep it to a minimum. There's a lot of details to it, but I'll just sort of give you the quick version. But a long time ago, so 35 plus years ago, 1989, so 35 years ago, last summer, was a crash. United Airlines Flight 232 in Sioux City, Iowa. And it turned out that there were 296 people aboard and 112 people died. The flight originally, Misty, was from in Denver to Chicago. We got about halfway to Chicago when one of the engines just basically blew up in flight. And that sent us toward Sioux City to make an emergency landing. And we had a cockpit crew that basically did everything they possibly could to get us to Sioux City. And the entire hydraulic system, that didn't mean anything probably to a lot of people. It didn't mean anything to me when I first heard it. But when that engine explosion took place, the entire hydraulic system failed. There were no hydraulics
So
left.
no landing gears.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they got the landing gear down
No.
manually, so they were able
Um,
to drop that in place with gravity, and that's the backup system. But everything else they would normally use, there's no steering. The steering wheel is locked in place. The yoke, no flaps, no aileron, no brakes. So once they got down, they couldn't brake, and no steering. So once they were able to get the plane down, they couldn't steer it one side or the other or keep it from going off a runway. So it was an incredibly dire circumstance us coming into Sioux City. And Captain Al Haynes is our cockpit captain, and he was keeping us informed what was going on. He told us we're going to make that emergency landing. He told us that when we got close, we got 30 seconds away, he was going to give us a command to brace, which we had practiced actually because we had 45 minutes from the time the explosion until we touched down in Sioux City. Because every time we got on the heading for the airport in Sioux City, the plane, because of so much damage to it, would veer off course. We have to come back and line up again. We did that 5 times. That's why it took us so long. It took us 45 minutes to do that. And he finally said on the last turn, all right, when we're 30 seconds away, I'm going to give you the command to brace, which we knew because we had practiced that. And he did that. We braced, and then we hit the ground. And it was almost as if we dropped out of the sky and hit the ground. I mean, it was an incredible impact. And that's pretty much what happened. We were dropping at an incredibly high rate of speed where it was going to be a disaster. And that's what happened. And immediately inside the plane, first couple of seconds after we hit down, bodies are being thrown about. Some were still strapped in their chairs. The chairs had given. Some were thrown from their chairs. There's smoke, there's fire, debris, all whipping around inside the cabin the first couple of seconds after we hit down. And I remember
ooh.
telling myself, all right, we've hit down hard. There are probably some people who aren't alive anymore. There's a lot of people who are going to be hurt, but it felt like we bounced a couple of times that we're going to slide to a stop. And I thought, all right, just hold on and I'll assess things when we come to a stop. And about time I had that thought, we flipped over frontwards. It turned out that the nose of the plane dug into the runway and we kind of cartwheeled end to end
My
and
God.
flipped upside down. Yeah. And that's when the real craziness started. That's when in front of me, I could see sunlight. It's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we're in the middle of the day. I could see sunlight in front of me. I could see sunlight in back of me. The piece of the plane that I was in, there were 37 rows in a DC-10, which is our plane. And I was about halfway back. Well, the front of where I was at broke away and the back of where I was at broke away. So I'm in a piece that flipped upside down and then rolled down the runway for another mile, a whole mile after we flipped over. Finally came to a
Oh,
stop. I'm hanging upside down, one of the very few people in my area in that position. got down to the floor because you're upside down, and eventually made my way out the back of the plane. And in the process, tried to grab some people along the way, and actually got outside the plane, heard baby crying, and I went back inside the plane and grabbed another child and went out that way. Um, so as I said, 112 people out of 296 survived the crash, but most of the people around me didn't. They didn't make it. They were either killed on impact or thrown from their seats.
Wow. Your story has me can't talk, choked up.
Mm. Yeah,
Wow. It's amazing that you survived that.
it is. Yeah, it's amazing, really, when I think about it, that anybody survived it, because you can find the video of that crash. That a local camera crew is actually alerted to the potential crash, and they sent a crew out and they videotaped the crash, and you can find it on the internet very easy. And if you do, and if your listeners do, and you watch, it's about 60 seconds or so, you'll ask this question like I have asked hundreds of times since that event: how could anybody possibly come out thing alive? It's a scene of destruction. It's a plane hitting down and flipping over and fire and smoke. And your thought's going to be, I promise you, if you look at it, Misty, it will be, how could anybody survive? And almost 2/3 of us did. So, miracle. I mean, that's all we can rack it up to. It was just a miracle that God had his hand on me.
Yeah, you're clearly meant to be here.
You know,
Wow. I've had 8 near-death experiences myself, so um I can connect to the rawness of the event, the what must have been going through your head at the time, the survival mode that you were in, the adrenaline that was going through you, like the aftermath of what you had to witness and face and process and digest. And my stories are so different from yours, but they have their own challenges too. So
yeah,
uh, clearly you're here for a reason, as am I.
yep, yep.
Wow. Oh my God. How did you how did you process that whole event?
Mm. I think I'm still doing it. I think I'm still processing it after 35 years. I mean, there's never a day that goes by that I don't think about it and try to continue to heal from it. I became a Christian. That really helped, because I was asking over and over and over and over again, why did it happen? Why did I survive? There was a little boy sitting in front of me. He was 18 months old. He died in the crash, and we're 2.5 feet apart, and I survive, and he dies. And I really struggle with that survivor's guilt hit me really hard. And when I became a believer, it sort of put things in perspective. I still don't know why, and I never will this side of heaven, but now I don't have to ask the question so often, because I just feel like the God that I know has a perfect plan for me. And his plan for me was to survive a plane crash. And I don't know why other people didn't. And I don't know why I was even on that plane necessarily, but that was God's plan. And that's good enough for me. And I think that's the biggest way that I have kind of healed from this crash or dealt with it, is just put that in that perspective.
I appreciate your perspective. And when you said it's been 35 years, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You're still healing from it 35 years later. That gives me comfort. Um, Coming back from my recent near-death experience in June, it was the most traumatic one that I've ever had. And I'm like, am I ever going to get past this? It's just, it might be years before I'm fully through this experience. And, it was extremely traumatic. And then the beauty of it, it was like night and day. Like I had the traumatic pain and craziness of like my soul leaving my body and everything that led up to that. But then when I was in my near-death experience, I was actually like, I left my body, went into the spiritual realm, and I was in what I would call like a night sky type of situation. And there was a bunch of angels around me. And then I looked up and the angels kind of blended with light, and I just started floating into the light.
Mm-hmm.
And being in the light and that floating experience is like you're weightless. I've been to heaven and come back before, but this one was different. The experience of this one was so transformative and profound, and just there's so much like trauma mixed with it. There wasn't that when I had other ones where I crossed over and came back. I mean, it wasn't that same thing. But um, what changed me the most is that I was in the presence of God, but not just in the presence of God, but God actually hugged me.
Mm.
And that embrace was so amazing, so wonderful. But then when I came back into my body and into this life, it put me on like hyperdrive of having this transformative experience where I'm always growing. I'm a person that's always growing and developing.
Hmm.
But after being hugged by God, it was like anything that doesn't match up to that energy has to go. It has to get out of my body, out of my soul, out of my thoughts, my head. It has to transform.
Hmm.
So it's been months of this crazy ride of like cleansing and purging and shifting and changing and what's my new alignment and what's like all these things that just keep happening. So it's been a wild experience. And you saying that you're still not over it 35 years later, it's like, okay, I can take a breath.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can
I
take a breath.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think it ever goes away. I think something traumatic like you went through that you told me about before we came on, and what I went through, I just don't think it goes away. It's always lingering there. And you know what? I don't think it's supposed to go away. To me, anyway, this is my personal thought. I believe that that plane crash needs to hang on in my life because it's part of me now, and I can share the story with people, and I can maybe have an impact on them in a
Yeah,
positive way. And so this story was meant to be for me, and I believe that every day, but I have to also try to heal that story every single day, and that's what I try to do. Time does not, you probably can appreciate this, time does not heal all wounds. I don't know who came up with that saying, but time helps heal wounds, but it doesn't take care of everything.
it doesn't.
It takes some of the pain away, but it not all of it, never.
You're correct on that. Time helps and it
Yeah,
can help,
time
especially
helps.
if you have the right mindset
Yeah.
of, you came back from that experience. It's like, okay, who am I? Why am I here? Like you question
Mhm.
everything. And for me, that experience of crossing over and coming back in June, it was a hard reset of me questioning everything. And even somebody like myself that has a very strong connection with God and very strong like spiritual practices, like I've been to heaven and come back before. Like this was so different.
Mm.
It was so different and so profound. Like God's never hugged me before.
Yeah.
If
That'd be nice.
it is nice, but it also like any remote little thing inside of you that doesn't align, it's
Hmm.
coming out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like shining a bright flashlight on any of the dark corners that I haven't found in myself.
Hmm.
Um, so it's profound on so many levels. Like it's
Yeah.
profound to be like in an embrace with God, and that's like, whoa, this is awesome.
Hmm. I hear you.
Uh, okay, now we're on a roller coaster. Let's figure this roller coaster out. It's like, how do I how do I show up with all the knowledge that was imparted into me in that hug? And how do I bring that back into this life in a way that still fits with my purpose and my calling? Which I'm a success coach for business owners. So um, everything that I do is meant to make the world a better place. And that's just the path that was presented to me years
Hmm.
ago. So, in your experience, how did you cope with the the questioning and like, why am I here? And who do I become now? And what do I do? And how did you deal with all that?
Yeah. I think, let's figure out the best way to answer that. I think that as I said before, I think I once I realized that this was part of God's plan for my life, that it made sense at that point. I think what God when I, let me put it this way, Misty. When I look back at the plane crash, here's what I see now. I see God saying to me, because I had no spiritual foundation whatsoever before this crash. I had
Okay.
nothing. I was blind. I had no idea. I was all for myself. I was a cocky, overly self-confident individual. I was a broadcaster, but I was going to be the next famous broadcaster. And, it was all about me. And after that plane crash, I think this is what I see. I see God saying to me, Jerry, I finally got your attention. It took 30
Mm,
years. I was 30 years old at the time of the crash. It took 30 years, but I finally got your attention. And now that I do, I want to give you the story so you can share the story the rest of your life and use it to point people toward me. I think that's why I survived that crash, so I could share the story. I can do what you had me on to do today, share the story and let people listen to it and experience it, maybe see the video and realize that they can come back from their own plane crash, because
mm.
everybody has one. You mentioned that already. Everybody has a plane crash. Some others might not be as bad as what I went through. Some might be worse than I went through. I can't even fathom burying a child. Burying your own flesh, to me, I would go through a million plane crashes before I would want to bury one of my kids or grandkids. So I think that's the way I looked at it. This was God's plan for me, and I'm going to go out and execute it, but make sure that I bring him along with me to help me discover the things I need to discover and answer the questions I need to have answered.
So it was your God is real moment. Is that what
Yeah,
I'm hearing?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. My first, like, I've always had that kind of connection with God throughout my life, but I got my calling at 8 years old to change the world. And then my first moment of miraculous power was when I was overdosing at 21 years old on cocaine.
Mm.
And I was like, I was all alone. I was by myself on the top of a mountain on conifer. Like,
Wow.
calling an ambulance isn't going to work. So here we are. And I was like, you know what, God, you didn't create me for this. You created me to change the world. Like, this is not my destiny. Don't let me die tonight. And then poof, all the symptoms were gone. My heart stopped racing. I was sober as could be. I was like,
Mm.
whoa,
Mm.
okay, that was awesome. And from that moment on, it was just like, let's go. Let's
Mm.
figure this out. Um, how do I do this thing that you called me to do? And I was always looking for that, but it was like hyper focused.
Mm.
And then I had some lingering questions and doubts. And in 2008 was a near-death experience, the first time of going to heaven and coming back. And when that happened, I had no questions, no doubts. I spent time with Jesus and with God when I was there. Um, so I didn't need faith anymore. After that, it was like, I don't need faith anymore. I've seen, I've tasted, I've felt, like
Mhm.
it was so powerful. And I've had tons of experiences that are just like mind blowing in between and all around. But those were my moments of like, okay, God is so real. And these experiences, these miracles are so real. And you just don't know until you know. You're living life and then something happens, right? So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at with this most recent near-death experience is heaven became much more real
Hmm.
this time around.
Hmm.
Um, and just trying to integrate with that realness into this life. And, I came to terms with some of it this weekend of like, because I know heaven is so real, but yet I'm still here. And there's a moment where I'm not going to be here anymore. I need to wrap my head around this. And the way that I was able to wrap my head around it was when I was hiking and meditating this weekend. I just got this clear message of we have a beautiful life here. And I've had some terrific hellacious experiences in this lifetime, but overall, like I choose to see everything as beautiful. And I'm out hiking in the most beautiful state that we live in, and I'm surrounded by all of this beauty. And that message was so clear of you're trading one beauty for the next. So it's like I'm leaving behind when it's my time to actually go and stay there.
Hmm.
I'm trading the beauty of this life for the beauty of heaven. And I've tasted the beauty of heaven multiple times. And this time when God hugged me, it was like the beauty of heaven sunk into me so deeply. And it's like, now how do I live in both worlds? Like, how do I live with heaven on earth? Because heaven is in me now. Like, I can't separate from it.
Hmm.
And then how do I wrap my human brain around the concept of death? And it's simply trading a beautiful life for the beauty of heaven. I hope that makes sense to people, but it made sense to me. I was like, okay, I can embrace this because a lot of us don't think about death. We don't think about like how fragile life is.
Hmm.
And I'm forced to think about it on a daily basis because of my most recent near-death experience. Like it won't leave me. Like, and I don't want that to leave me, but it also brings up all this mess inside of me and like these thoughts that I have of how do I how do I do this now? How do I wrap my thoughts around this so that I'm okay living here on earth with heaven so fully inside of me? So anyway, yeah, we're trading this beautiful life for the beauty in heaven, and heaven is an adventure. Like that's one of the thought processes that I've had to work through in myself too, is that I'm not bored here. I'm entertained. I've got lots going on. It's there's a lot of beauty, there's a lot of stuff and fun and but it's like, you know what? No, heaven is an adventure. The adventure doesn't stop because we leave our body. The adventure continues. Like
Yeah.
I'm an adventure person. I love like exploring and discovering life and that type of thing. So that really resonates with me of it's an adventure. And if we start shaping our thoughts around this subject of dying or near death type of situation, if we start shaping our thoughts around it correctly, we can face our our transition. I don't want to call it death because it's not the right word. It's like our transition from this life to the next.
Sure.
We can face it with a clearer view and face it more head on instead of dismissing it or sticking our head in the sand. And I think that that would help us all become better humans. I know that my most recent near-death experience certainly elevated my intentionality and like all the purging and clearing out of everything that I've been doing in the last few months. It's like it's made me a better human. Even though I thought I was a pretty decent one before, it's made me a better one. And I'm always on that track of like, I want to, be the best person that I can be every single day. So anyway, please say something.
I'm fascinated with what you have to say, and I think it's beautiful. What you've got me thinking about is, and I do think about a death a lot. I'm 65. Toward the end of my life, but about heaven and what that's going to be like. And you got a little taste of it, and I can't wait. I'm super excited. I don't have a death wish, but
Good.
I do not fear it one little bit, especially after what you've said today.
Good. Excellent. I love that. I love that my story can give you that confidence because, like, I think my struggle is that heaven feels so much more real
Hmm.
than this place feels. Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
I crave to have and like that feeling again of being in God's arms and being in heaven. Like, I just crave it. Like, I've always had that. Like, I just want to meditate. I want to like have that connection time with God. Like, but this has amplified it so much. Like, I just crave it so much. It's
Yeah.
Uh,
We have a
it
lot to look
f-
forward to.
it feels so much more real than this place.
Hmm.
And I'm like, the days where I don't feel it, I'm like, how do I function without it now that I've tasted it and now that I've been able to bring heaven to earth essentially with me? The days that I don't have it, I'm like, oh, I can't breathe.
Mhm.
So it's like, I think the message in there for people, regardless of what your belief system is that we can experience heaven on earth. And the more that you experience that presence of heaven in this lifetime, it takes away the fear.
Yeah.
Like, we shouldn't be afraid of transitioning into the next life. Like, it should be like it's an excitement. No, we don't have a death wish, but it's like I'm looking forward to that adventure. I'm looking forward to what is on the next side. Like it's the fear of the unknown is what gets a lot of people, and having to clear that from my thought process,
Yeah.
just so that I'm like, okay, trading one beauty for the next,
Yeah. Yeah.
one adventure for the next.
Couldn't agree with you more. I love it.
And while I'm here, I am going to do my best every day to bring heaven to earth with me and allow other people to experience that that is possible.
Yeah. Good for
It is
you.
so possible.
Yep.
So, wow, this has been quite the conversation.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting stuff. Yeah. Thank you for having me on.
Mm, yep, it all worked out the way it was supposed to. So,
Yeah.
now back to the audience. Um, when we go through life-changing events like what you and I have experienced, it affects everything. How did it affect your work life or your business life? Just for my business listeners, like how did that affect you?
Yeah. Completely, 180 degrees, Misty, to be honest with you. Um, I was a broadcaster before the plane crash, and I, as I mentioned, was all about myself. It was all about my career. Um, I had family, I loved them, but they weren't a priority. Everything in my life, my priority, my interest was my career, a broadcasting career. And after the plane crash, that all changed. My priorities completely changed. After I became a Christian, the Christian life and being a disciple of Jesus was the number one thing in my life. My family came after that, and whether I sounded really good on the air that night or not didn't really make any difference. I was going to go out and do my best and let everything happen after that. So, just the perspective on life, priorities completely changed because of this crash. And that, to me, that was God working too. That was part of the plan. Jerry, you're all about yourself. Sorry, but I'm going to put you this plane crash where everybody around you died so you can get a perspective. So you can, because I've tried really hard for 30 years to try to change you and you're too stubborn. So it's going to take a plane crash and all these people dying around you to get you to live the way I want you to live. And that's a complete change for me. My whole perspective on life completely changed and very, very much for the better.
Hmm. Yeah, I appreciate that. Are you more fulfilled after the crash?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yep. Because I took the focus off myself and put it on other things and other people, and that made all the difference for me. And I don't, I look back on it now in those first 30 years of my life, probably not necessarily as a youngster, but probably the last decade before that plane crash. I just can't believe how selfish I was. I mean, everything was about me, and every decision was going to be for me and for my good and my pleasure and me. And when I took that focus off myself, everything changed. And I didn't think I could ever enjoy life as much as I do now.
Hmm. Thank you for bringing up the selfishness part of things. Being a world changer and called to do that at 8 years old, it's always the journey of getting out of my way so that I can stay in alignment with why I'm here.
Hmm.
So
Amen.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Um, and I appreciate the increased self-love that I've received from this near-death experience, which might be perceived as selfishness from other people, but it's shifted my desires, my needs, it's shifted my approach to my personal life.
Hmm.
It's shifted everything. Um, So it might look like I'm more selfish on the outside, but my priorities are different.
Yep.
Um, it's incredible. And like, I don't find myself being more selfless toward other people because I've been serving other people for so many decades. Like, that's just a natural part of who I am. But I do find myself communicating more
Mhm.
openly and being much more raw emotionally and much more vulnerable emotionally. So that's how it's kind of changed me.
Yeah. Makes total sense to me. I hear you.
Yeah, as soon as you started telling your story, I was crying. I'm like, that's different because,
Yeah, it's, and I think too, with a plane crash, most people think about it because anybody who's ever flown probably thinks about a crash because it's such an unnatural thing. I mean,
yeah.
I'm in Seattle right now, just flew in last night. I got on that plane and I'm still trying to figure out how a multi-ton plane could get off the ground. I mean, I know there's engineering reasons for that, but
Right.
this just doesn't seem natural. And I think everybody who flies thinks about a crash. And there aren't too many of us that have survived crashes. So there's not a whole lot of
Mm.
crash survivors out there. So I think that's why this story can be so emotional to people and can hit so hard because everybody thinks about it and they wonder what it's like. And here
Mhm.
we got an example.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being brave.
You're welcome.
I mean, it takes a tremendous amount of bravery to allow your life to go on a 180 journey and to share your story because the emotional toll that it takes on us, having a traumatic event like that, that's a near-death experience, it can be hard to share our stories. So I appreciate you sharing your story, um, and just being so bold with it and brave with it and continuing the journey of bravery. And that's just, I think that's the theme of all of it. Are
Yeah.
we brave? Are we
Yeah.
brave enough to step into what we need to step into each day, regardless of what it is, regardless of if you're just facing a financial crisis in your life, you're not facing a near-death experience. Maybe it's just a financial crisis, but be brave, you guys. Like, it takes so much bravery to come back from one of those experiences, like what Jerry experienced or what I've experienced. Incredible amounts of bravery. So that's what I want the listeners to hear and really sink in. Like, you can do this. Be brave. Don't listen to fear. Fear is lying to you. Be brave. Whatever it is that you're facing, please be brave. Don't listen to the fear. God's got you, regardless of what you believe. I don't care what religion you're in. God's got you. Like, he's awesome. There's no judgment in him. The way I want you guys to think about God is pure acceptance. If I say love, nobody understands what that means, but pure acceptance, we can conceptualize that with our human brain. So when you think of being in the presence of God, just feel pure acceptance of yourself and everyone else. If you can tap into that, you know that everything is going to be okay.
Amen.
Yeah. Well, I think we need to wrap up. Thank you for this wonderful, beautiful conversation and being open and vulnerable with us.
You are very welcome. I enjoyed it. Thank you for sharing as well.
You're welcome. Not easy, but here we are.
Yeah, that's right.
Um, if people want to listen to you, find you, I know that I found you on LinkedIn, so I know that they can find you on LinkedIn. Do you want to share any of your contact? Do you have any contact information other than LinkedIn?
Yeah. Yeah. I have my website and all my stuff is on there. It's
Okay.
jerryschemmel.com. And that's
Okay.
probably the easiest way. Yeah. I got contact information and links and stuff on there. I think there might even be a link to the video of the plane crash, I think. Yeah, I think there is. So yeah,
Okay.
jerryschemmel.com.
Perfect. Would you please spell your last name for the audience?
Yep. Jerry's with a J, by the way, and Schemmel is Schemmel.
All right. Schemmel. All right, you
Correct.
guys, go to jerryschemmel.com and check out who he is. If there's a link to the crash, please go support him. Go support it. And then he's announcing for the Colorado Rockies, so you can't miss him.
There you go. Thank you.
Awesome. Jerry, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And listeners, you know what? You've got this. Be brave. And I will see you again soon. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to the Wealthy Mind podcast. Please be sure to download the Wealthy Mind app today and make sure to support your local Dress for Success.